Welcome to another lore video, and we're going to look at the follow-on from the Halloween event, catch up on some of the news, and take a look at the Spire Sites, AX reactivation missions, and some of the other things affected by Update 17, and also a new proposed strategy for the war. First up, some sad news and happy news, because Sally is leaving Frontier. Sad for us, hopefully happy for her as she begins a new adventure of her own. I had the pleasure of meeting her last year, albeit very briefly, at LaveCon, and she's a great community manager, a real people person. She's put up with us and dealt with all our moaning and groaning with grace and humour, so whatever you do next, Sally, I've no doubt you'll be great, and thanks for the time you spent with us, and best of luck in whatever you do now and in the future. There's a few people doing various celebrations of Sally's time with us, including Commander Buur, and today, Wednesday, the 1st of November, at 1500 hours and again at 1900 hours, they are meeting in the Buur private group in their home system of Tewanta at their station, Wilson Port, where they're going to get together on foot in the bar and do a salute to Sally. So if you're in the Buur private group and you want to be a part of that, there's still time at 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock tonight, UTC. A nice gesture and a great bit of fun for anyone to get involved in. I expect Buur to be inundated with last minute requests to join the private group. Whether I make it there myself or not, I'm looking forward to many screenshots and maybe even some videos, so keep your eye on Buur's channel over the next few days. So what about the mysterious skull-faced person and the killer signal? Well, this article explains that a fleet exercise by security forces in Shamash, codenamed Grey Swan, went sideways when the Grey Swan ships went berserk and started firing on civilians and everyone else in the system. The Halloween event that followed on from the spooky logs was a community goal to kill the Grey Swan ships and hand in the combat bonds. That's ended today, Wednesday, and we'll have to see if any more story-related things or any more paper trails come along or whether that's it. The skull-faced outfit is now available for purchase in the store if you want one yourself, and the top 10 in the community goal will get a version that nobody else will have until it goes on sale in a few weeks, so it's a chance to get that one early. If I sound disappointed, I am a bit. I was hoping for more lore stuff, rather than a bit of story and then a basic combat community goal that feels like it's neither here nor there. Some more story could come out of this yet, and if it does, I'll follow it, but a community goal after such a build-up does feel like a bit of an anticlimax. Maybe not though. FDev often use deliberate terminology when they describe things, and a Grey Swan is a term. It's a term for an event that is known and understood as a possibility, and which has the potential to be extremely significant, but is not considered very likely to happen. A very remote outlier that would be serious if it did happen. Is that a clue that this event is more significant than it seems, or does it simply refer to the fact that what started with a few people affected turned into a system-wide massacre? I'm probably going down the rabbit hole more than I need to here, and that's probably all it is, but the fact that a Grey Swan is an event that was considered as a possibility, despite being given a low probability of happening, implies that somebody knew this was a risk when they planned a fleet exercise, which implies in turn that someone knows about and possibly has access to the technology that produces a signal, and I would not expect someone with the power to control people's minds to just vanish into obscurity again. So there is potential for this story to go further, whether it actually does or not. Felicia Winters has won the election and is the new Federation president. Perhaps predictably, the more rabid Republicans and media are already crying that the sky is going to fall in, and she'll allow people they disapprove of to be represented, which would be terrible, wouldn't it? This article is little more than hysteria, hyperbole, scaremongering, and character assassination on Winters by the Hudson fanboys in the press, as opposed to having anything of substance to contribute. But I personally find it ironic that people think this means the Federation will suddenly become soft on the war, or soft on crime, or soft on anything. Perhaps that in itself is a comment on the short memory of the general public, because it wasn't so long ago that it was Felicia Winters who had to pester Hudson to help the independent systems in the war zone that were, and still are, acting as a buffer to Federation space, saying to him that if they fell, then Federation space would be next. He grudgingly sent a bit of help, but largely ignored her concerns, and chose to prosecute his own citizens instead for being Thargoid collaborators, without letting facts like nobody knowing their language get in the way, which achieved absolutely nothing against the Thargoids themselves. It was one of those policies which are always just posturing and saber-rattling, sold as being tough on crime, even if they have to invent the crime first. But with Winters as president, the Proactive Detection Bureau, a fancy name for the crude and overbearing attempt to implement the Thought Police by the T-1000, will be abolished, and we may see more practical help coming from the Federation in future. At the very least, there shouldn't be any quibbling over funding Aegis, so I actually expect more support from her than from the T-1000, but he's not gone yet. He's there till the new year, and then she will be officially sworn in. By then, the war will be a year old, and the in-game galaxy will have experienced their second Christmas under Thargoid invasion, so that could be the final thing that jumpstarts the Federation and the other superpowers into doing something a bit more useful than jailing their own citizens and making statues of themselves. The people in the pods that have been rescued from the Titans are said to be stable and not suffering any physical harm from their capture. Mental trauma and PTSD are another matter, of course, and there's plenty of that. So for now, they're still quarantined and being kept under observation, although they are being allowed to talk to their families, most of whom can't believe they're still alive. Otherwise, it's a big sigh of relief from Aegis, because the missiles to free them are working and don't harm them in the process any more than they've been harmed already. But there is also a concern, a bit sad, that even though these poor people appear to be largely unharmed, that they could face prejudice when they go back out into society from those who won't believe them to be free of Thargoid influence. One way or another, with Thargoids capturing refugees for who knows what purpose, the superpowers having to overcome public distrust and set their strategy for actually doing something, and signals that can affect human behaviour, the overarching theme at the moment is very much about controlling hearts and minds. As you probably know by now, the Thargoid Barnacle Matrix sites has seen a big change with Update 17. There's loads of videos about these already and lots of information to be found about these, so let's take a look at some of the changes. The spires are huge, and they can be seen from a long way, even from space. And as you approach them, your first concern will probably be with the new Banshee class Revenant, which appears at the Spire Sites and at settlements during AX reactivation missions. We're going to look at some AX reactivation missions in a bit. When you come out of Glide and land at these sites, you actually come out below the top of the spires. That's how high these spires are. They're massive. Banshee fires its missiles at you, which temporarily knock out your ship, like the shutdown field, but only for a few seconds. The missiles don't have to hit you directly, just explode nearby, and the shockwave will knock out your systems. These can be negated by the Thargoid Pulse Neutralizer, which you use to get to the Titans, but the regular shutdown field neutralizer doesn't work, and this suggests that the Spire Sites are more closely connected to the Titan than the other control systems around them. I don't have one in this video, so I'm getting shut down all the time, but as you can see, it is survivable. If you can get on the ground safely, there's a lot to see and collect. Some of the materials are caustic, so be ready to take them back to your ship quickly and have a corrosion-resistant cargo bay fitted. You can use a genetic sampler on foot to get stuff as well, and your main enemy will be the Banshee and any revenants that are accompanying it. You can shoot them with your Scorpion, you can have a go at them with rocket launchers. The plasma weapons are apparently good too. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to get a lot of Banshee hassle on the ground. On the ground is going to be extremely, extremely dangerous. And by contrast, if you can get up onto one of these platforms, These platforms sticking out from the Spires, the ones with the Titan logo on them, you can park there in relative safety and even use your SRV as a base of operations so that you can dismiss your ship, keep your SRV on the platform and explore on foot. And here is where you will see this inner section with some kind of machinery and activate it by hitting the nerve clusters nearby with your energy link scanner set to overload. It's a long way down if you fall, so be careful as you do the equivalent of Elite meets Tomb Raider, jumping across to these, activating them and jumping back. Short bursts so you don't hit the roof and just fall. Patience, and you'll be rewarded with the machine itself revealing itself to be a refinery bin, and when activated it will open and you can retrieve something called a Spire refinery compound. Orthruses fly in and out of the Spires, which have openings very much like the Titans. Why Orthruses in particular? We don't know. They're the spy and surveillance ships, not combat ships. But killing Orthruses has become a popular, profitable and very fast way to clear these Spire sites of their Thargoid hosts. And we'll get to what happens to a cleared site in a bit. Orthruses and scouts are relatively easy kills, even for the inexperienced pilot. And there's plenty of loadouts, but basically, you know, missiles for the Orthrus and some multi-cannons for the scouts and lots of hull and protecting yourself from shutdowns, and you're pretty safe. And you can sit there and blow Orthruses away all day, which people have been doing, A, because it's making them tons of money, and B, because it's helping to clear the Spire sites.
Thrusters online.
Banshees also appear at Odyssey settlements during AX reactivation missions, and from the start, they're bad news. For some people, they're there on their own when they arrive at the settlement, and as they watch, a scout comes down and drops revenants in support. For me, the revenants were already there when I tried these missions. The biggest danger is from his sticky bombs. Look at them as they land near me and explode, and I can only run to try and stay alive with no cover. Finally, I decide to throw all caution to the wind. I'm not going to escape this thing outdoors, so I run straight at it and underneath it. And finally, I managed to get to a building and cut my way in, wounded but alive. Like the Revenants, you can use a rocket launcher on the Banshees, but it takes a lot of shots, unlike the Revenants, which can be taken down in one shot from a G5 Karma L6 rocket launcher. I have heard that the plasma shotgun and plasma pistol work well on Banshees, but I haven't tried them yet. I've been focused on stealth if possible and evasion if not possible. The Banshee will also pursue you more than the Revenants, and it's harder to get away from. It will hover by doorways and windows, and it will fire at you. And as you can see here, if you don't want to be in the entrance lobby of a building when the sticky bombs come in and explode, but you are perfectly safe through a window, even though there's a little bit of a collision issue here where it looks like the sticky bombs have come through the window and they go off and it all looks very dramatic, but they don't actually hurt you. In a doorway though, they will come inside the building and they will blow up, and if you're in the way, you're in trouble. Thanks to Commander Meccan from AXI for this image. Know your enemy. So, special attacks, it's got the shutdown SAM, surface to air missile. Briefly shuts down your ship. The Thargoid pulse neutralizer works, but not the regular shutdown field neutralizer. It's got 4 repeater guns, 2 in the front, 2 in the tail. It can track multiple targets. and it's got a sticky mines launcher. Fires a tracking barrage of sticky mines which stick to whatever they land on and then explode. You can find them at Spire Sites. You can find them at settlements where you go and do AX reactivation missions. It's accompanied by revenants. Top speed, faster than you. Yeah, well, I guess that depends on what ship you have, but yes, they're quick. And it's saying here that 13 rounds from a G5 shotgun will work if fired at weak spots. What the weak spots are, I don't know. Let's assume they're those red patches on it. Doesn't drop anything when it dies, you just get the bond for killing it. Very high armour, no shield. So there you go, there is a Banshee. Learn about it, learn how to kill it, learn how to avoid it, and expect to see a lot more of them. I said previously that Titan rescues were clearing counter-strike systems, and that was true for the first week, but it obviously wasn't supposed to happen because they were put back to being controlled systems again, and the rules were changed for how Titan rescues and any activity at the Spire Sites affects war progress. So now, as we understand it, any Spire Site activity in a Matrix system and any rescues from the Titan there will cause the Thargoids to withdraw from the outermost 10 systems, whether they're controls, alerts, other Spire Sites or whatever. Presumably invasions as well, but one of those hasn't happened yet for us to see, but there doesn't seem to be any reason why it wouldn't be, regardless of the system state, that the outside 10 systems are cleared. So it's a bit of a weird experience. There you are clearing a Spire Site which might be quite close to the Titan, and no progress is actually happening in that system itself, but the 10 systems that are furthest away from the Titan are slowly being cleared. It's very strange, but this is how it appears to work. And as you can see, these systems are almost at 85%, which is where this activity will cap. So they will progress the outer 10 systems as far as 85%, and then after that they need to be cleared by other means, combat or sampling or whatever. The Spire Sites themselves can't be cleared as such, but they can have their status as control systems removed, so then they can't cause any new alerts, which is good news for us, and one thing that we've been waiting for, because up until now they couldn't be cleared at all, which meant that they would keep on causing alerts again and again, so their control status can be taken away when the system itself gets cleared, and that's good. So cleared Spire Sites lose their control status, and well, time will tell if they can get it back again. Other changes when a Spire Site is cleared are in this graphic, thanks to Lilac Light from Canon, who also maintains a list of known Matrix sites for the differences. Let's take a look at those. So when a site gets cleared, it appears to go dormant. No Authoruses or Scouts are there. They're all gone. All the lights are off. The logograms, whatever you want to call them, on the platforms, the Titan logos, they're gone. The barnacle vents are idle. Nerve clusters that you shoot to get materials are inactive. There seem to be xenobiology patches missing. Sensors no longer pick up the Spire refinery compounds. There's no Banshees or Revenants. The mega barnacles no longer appear to be breathing. There's a greatly reduced number of nerve clusters, and those that are present are non-functional. And as you can see, it's almost like the whole site just gets reduced, so that all you can do is pick up a few materials from them. But that's it. However, at least because you're not being shot at, you can spend as much time as you want exploring a cleared site in peace, and while it may not have everything there that it has when it's active, it's still fascinating to drive around and just marvel at the structure of the thing. And a mass lock factor of 100, which is very strange. So yeah, you have to get quite a way away from them before you can go into supercruise or hyperspace. Quite a dramatic change when you clear one of these things. Which brings us to a major development and player initiative. Taranis now has only 20 control systems left, and the plan is to use Spire Sites and Titan rescues over 2 weeks to eliminate them all, if that is possible. Pod rescues from Taranis, And any activity at a Spire site will push the outermost 10 systems up to 85% completion. And meanwhile, people will be collecting samples to cover the last 15% for each system. So we use the Spire sites to clear 10 systems a week for 2 weeks, and then clear the Spire sites themselves, leaving Taranis with no controlled systems at all, completely isolated. Operation Redacted a few weeks ago, and which I mentioned in a previous video, was an experiment to see if a Titan could cause new alerts by itself without needing control systems to do it, and they found out that it couldn't. If that holds true, and the plan works, Taranis will be utterly isolated with no way to take over any new systems or expand. This will be a massive breakthrough in the war. What will the consequences of that be? The Titan can be seen as vulnerable without its support network of systems around it. Some people have commented on how the weapons on a Titan are not really that damaging, the turrets and so on. Glaives are the biggest threat really around a Titan. And others have said that the groaning sounds from the Titan almost sound plaintive, as if it's in distress or even lamenting somehow, perhaps at all the destruction, perhaps for something else. That said, we have no way to destroy it or even hurt it as far as we know, so this operation could simply end in a stalemate. We've isolated the Titan, but we can't do anything to it, and it can't take any new systems. What that will achieve I have absolutely no idea, but it is achievable, so let's see what happens when we do. The plan can be extended if necessary, but for the moment, the next 2 weeks will be crucial. All hands on deck for the control work, while here at Operation Kleenex we'll take care of the new alerts to stop them becoming new controls and get to some controls ourselves if we have time left over and people are willing. The Spire sites themselves, even if all the forces are cleared from them and they lose their control status and become apparently dormant, they are clearly here to stay regardless of what else happens, and that is confirmed here in this article. The second article about Aegis investigating them. They're continuing their investigation into the Spire sites. They've got Professor Palin on board. People have been taking bits from the sites to Palin for study, and so far the fact that the materials have names such as refined and unrefined fits with the theory here and with what appear to be the huge smokestacks billowing out steam and other stuff from the Spire sites themselves. This does fit with the idea that they're massive extraction sites, perhaps gathering minerals and materials for the war machine, perhaps for that and for another purpose as well. I say that because I can't shake the feeling that they do have another purpose besides just being a massive refinery. Otherwise, why have them stick around after they've either finished their work or the forces protecting them have been booted out by independent pilots? Will any of them be retaken? And if they are, will production, if that's what it is, start up again? Maybe they'll just wilt away in time, but does anyone think that will happen now? No, nor do I. This is just the beginning for the Spire sites. Either that, or the Spire sites themselves are the beginning of something else. Stay safe, and as always, thanks for watching.